It is 2 o'clock on Monday, March 4th, 2024. I am going to call to order the Safe and Healthy Schools Commission meeting. Madam Secretary, can we have roll call, please?
Darren Balaam. Scott Benton.
Present.
Shelley Buchanan will be absent today. Charlene Bybee might be joining us later. Zara Darby. Elizabeth Flores.
Present.
Jessica Goicochea.
Present.
Rhonda Lawrence is absent today. Leanne McCauley Larson.
Present.
Sarah Porter.
Present.
Paige Samples. Paige Samples. Oh, she's on there.
So it looks like she's virtual. Peg, can you hear us?
Okay.
Thank you.
Natalie Sanchez.
Present.
Lieutenant Colonel Scott Codwell. Misty Von Allen.
Here.
And Annie Zucker.
Present.
Attendance has been, you have quorum.
Madam Secretary, can we let the record reflect that Charlene Bybee is here in person?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, those are our opening items. So we will move on to item 2, which is items for presentation, discussion, and information and/or action. Item 2.01 is the approval of the December 4th, 2023 meeting of the Safe and Healthy Schools Commission. These were sent electronically to us. Is there any changes to the minutes from anyone on the commission? Okay, and reflecting back to Peg Samples, let the attendance reflect that she's here virtually. She can hear us, but she's unsure why we can't hear her. Is that something that we need to wait for, or?
Have her type in anything if she wants to make a comment,
Okay,
and he'll work on.
perfect. Peg, we will have IT work on our end. If you can type in any comments that you need to make on any items, I will be sure to look up at our teams every so often to make sure we're hearing your voice today. Back to item 2.01. Is there any minute adjustments to the December 4th meeting minutes? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Thank you,
As
Commissioner
stated.
Porter. Is there a second?
I moved to second.
Thank you, Vice Chair Sanchez. We have a motion. Is there any comment on the motion? Is there any public comment?
No public comment, Chair.
Thank you. Hearing that we have a motion and no public comment, looking for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. And while we wait, Peg, if you can affirm your vote on the motion via text, that would be great. She affirmed. So having that, all our votes are cast and it passes unanimously. Thank you. We will move to item 2.02, which is presentation and discussion of the Discovery Museum limited term exhibit Mind Matters and the opportunity for Washoe County School District students to attend. This is for presentation and discussion only, and we will be joined by our very own Commissioner Sarah Porter and Matthew Sinclair from the Discovery Museum. Commissioner Porter, take it away.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, guys. I'm wearing a couple hats today. So I am also the board chair at the Discovery Museum. This is my second term as board chair, and I've been involved as a board member for 7 years with the Discovery Museum, so something I'm very passionate about and excited about. And we have our CEO here, Matt Sinclair, as well, that he'll be presenting Mind Matters with me. So biggest thing why we wanted to bring this to the commission is obviously being on the commission, we understand that our mission is really to make sure that we advise the Board of Trustees on school safety, and that can mean physical safety as well as mental safety as well, suicide prevention, those kinds of things that we really focus on. And so in bringing Mind Matters to the Discovery Museum, we wanted to share it with you as well because it's really going to be a resource, we think, for the community and especially in our partnership with Washoe County School District. So I'll go ahead and go to the next slide if we could, Silva. Oh, I have it. I have the power. Yep, there we go. Ooh, we're animated. So this commission really focuses on, or we have at our safety forums in the past and in a lot of our discussions and people that we bring to this meeting around suicide prevention and mental health, and talking about mental health more and making sure that students have resources for those kinds of things that they face. So this is straight from Washoe County Health District. So this stat comes as 46.2% of Washoe County School District high school students report feeling sad or hopeless every day for 2 or more weeks in a row. So as we go through, and Matt talks a little bit more about this exhibit, you'll see how bringing this to the community and how it serves, especially middle school and high school students, is really kind of the target for this exhibit, and adults as well, how we can be a resource for some of those kids that are struggling. This is just a little bit of data around who we serve. So we typically welcome about 200,000 visitors every year to the museum. And then 12,000 of those are K through 12 students who visit on a school field trip. Through this exhibit, we're actually really trying to ramp up those efforts, and the school district has been very collaborative. Matt and Kevin presented with last board meeting for the trustees, specifically around what we're doing with field trips, and also how we can be more of a resource for education resources for counselors and teachers and things like that. We originally were only going to have this exhibit through June, and one of our major donors actually helped us extend it through September so that we could take it all the way through the summer, and then we could have service as many kids as we can before the school year ends. So that's really exciting. And then social science. Have any of you ever been to a social science? Are you familiar with it? Okay, I see some head nods. So that's our adult-only science night, and so it's 21 and older, and we have drinks and food and all kinds of great exhibits and activities and things like that that are really fun. It's usually around a theme, and so those are a really great way for the adults in our community to explore science. And then what I really love about our position in the community as a Discovery Museum is we are the place to experience science. But we are a conduit. We bring the information, we share these exhibits, and then it gives a space for people to draw their own conclusions, to have their own aha moments, to maybe experience something in science that they hadn't before. So it really is there to spur conversation, and that's really a big part of our role. All right, and I'm going to hand over to Matt so he can actually show you what the exhibit is if you haven't had a chance to see it.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. And just to give you a little context for the exhibition itself, this was originated by the Hurricane Science Center, by our colleagues in Helsinki, Finland, about 12 years ago. The exhibition itself is focused on a couple of different key areas. One is to help visitors understand sort of the very complex science behind the brain and how mental health issues affect the brain and our subsequent behavior and interaction with one another. So sort of the science behind that. Another theme throughout the exhibition is really helping visitors understand our historical understanding of the brain and our subsequent treatment of mental health issues, dating all the way back to everyone's classic form of medical care, leeches, all the way through sort of current cognitive behavioral health treatments, and sort of understanding the evolution of science and learning and health. But most importantly, what this exhibition does is leave visitors with a sense of empathy and understanding, and with a goal towards destigmatizing the whole conversation around mental health. And we get to do that in a very unique environment where it's not clinical, it's not at a point of crisis, it's at a point of interactivity and learning and fun, dare I say. And actually there's several different experiences throughout the exhibition where visitors have a chance to engage with one another and be put in a situation where they actually get to experience, to a certain degree, some different aspects of mental health. This gentleman here is wearing a pair of parabolic headphones that allow for multiple audio inputs to your brain, and the point of that particular exhibit experience is you try and have a conversation with another person where you've got multiple conversations that your brain is trying to process at the same time. It's very disorienting. It gives you a sense for what that might feel like and look like if you presented with something like that clinically. So in addition,
Speaking about multiple inputs, it's almost like we planned that.
This exhibit is 5,000 square feet, so it fills our entire traveling exhibition hall and actually spills in to another part of the museum. It is, as I mentioned, designed to raise awareness and empathy, but also give visitors tools to have those conversations and understand next steps if they feel like they or somebody in their family or immediate circle needs to have some additional support. It includes a variety of both interactive, hands-on experience pieces, but also some digital interactives and some group play. The exhibition is not just bilingual, it is trilingual. So it is in English, Spanish, and for our massive French-speaking population here in Reno, Nevada, they can also enjoy the exhibition. And the exhibit is curated and set up so that each host institution that this goes to can curate sort of local resources. And so there's a resource center built directly into the exhibition. But we decided to go a step further with this. And for the last 9 months or so, our team has been working diligently with a variety of partners in our community to pitch a real big tent and invite a lot of different organizations into our space so that just about every single day of the run of the exhibition, we will have a community partner in our space. This ranges from clinicians to university faculty and students to other nonprofit organizations in our community who are engaged in the mental health space, so that there's a chance for us to showcase those partners, for them to interact with our very large visitor base that's coming through to see this exhibition, but also to expand the learning that's happening in our space. Right now, that partner list hovers just over 90 different partners. And we have had a partner in our space every day since the opening of the run of the exhibit. And in the 3 short weeks that the exhibit's been open, we've already seen 13,000 visitors come through and see this piece. And we'll have it through September 9th.
Yep. 8th or 9th.
Something like that.
Ish.
So let's see. We're also have put a real concerted effort on pushing as many students through our space. Despite the fact that we are an all ages science learning institution, there's still a perception that we predominantly serve younger students in our community, which is true. We do very, very well in serving our, basically birth to 12-year-old range, but we are an all ages learning institution, and part of our strategy in engaging our entire community is bringing exhibits like this into our space that speak to a wider audience. So we are have been very blessed working with the district here in pushing as many middle school and high school students as we can through the space. We have multiple middle schools lining up for full-day field trips. Vaughn Middle School is actually coming in next week, I think, for a full day.
The whole school.
The entire
Which is really
Vaughn
cool.
Middle School
Yeah.
will be in for a field trip. And we're hoping to emulate that across the district during the run of the exhibit.
Well, in addition to our district too, we're reaching districts throughout the state because we're having this statewide student council conference is going to be in Reno.
Yeah.
And we're going to have over 800, I think, high school students that are going to be at the Discovery for one of the days that they're in here for the conference, and we're going to be hosting that. So that's really exciting as well.
Thanks to our friends at the Children's Cabinet and Ms. Zucker there. Actually, we're going to push that number to 1,000 high school kids in our space. And so we just have a quick video here at the end, I think. These are a couple visuals of the exhibition. Let's see, we'll get to, here we go.
And while that's loading up, I want to make a statement that Sheriff Darren Balaam has joined our meeting in person at 2:14.
This
Welcome, Sheriff.
should play.
Can you play it, Sylvia?
This is a video that's gone out to, maybe not. We produced a short video that was distributed to all school principals, teachers, and counselors. We also, that's okay. We also hosted the Washoe County School District counseling staff for their in-service day 2 weeks ago, where we had, I think, middle school and high school counselors in the morning, and then elementary school counselors in the afternoon. There's 200 plus folks in attendance that day. They had a chance to actually physically go through and see the exhibition in our largest advocates in the school. So thank you very much for your time this afternoon, for hearing us out on this, and I'm happy to answer any questions about the exhibition or the Discovery in general.
Yeah.
To the commission, is there any questions for our presenters?
Aye.
Commissioner Bybee, and then we'll go to you, Commissioner Zucker.
I love this. I've got to go down and see it.
Please.
And I know we're talking about schools right now in connection to our youth. Have you worked or had any veterans groups come through?
Yeah. Part of that long list of community partners is thinking about not just the youth in our community that are going to experience this exhibit, but everyone in our community. And so we've worked with Veterans Administration and some other nonprofit groups serving veterans to organize and structure visits and communicate about the exhibition. We've also worked with other nonprofits in our community working in the social service sector. So we're hitting everybody that needs and wants to see this.
We're also working with first responders too.
Yeah.
So we have, some of the unions that are involved, mental health professionals that work with the first responders that are also involved. So Dr. Nicholas, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he works with a lot of the unions. He's one of our partners, so we're really trying to reach that audience as well.
Okay, so you're reaching out to like all 3 jurisdictions
Yeah.
to police, fire.
Yep.
Most teams that are working with police, which is our mental health counselors that work with all of us, I think, have them on staff. I think Washoe does. I know Reno and Sparks do.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Zucker.
Can you explain the training that you guys have given your staff and volunteers? I think that's really important
Yeah.
for everybody to hear.
Absolutely, thank you.
Yeah, excellent question. Without a doubt, this is an exhibit with slightly heavier content than the norm. Our last traveling exhibit involved a sloth, so it's really exciting, but not so much needed on the emotional interaction with the sloth. For this one, we worked extensively preparing our team ahead of time so that we could properly facilitate this exhibit. We brought in NAMI to do some training with our staff. We also worked with the university and with Renown Health to do some essentially behavioral health first responder training with our team and to identify in the exhibit where we might have some concern or trouble points and how to interact and engage with our visitors. I should tell you that in the 3 weeks that we've had it and the 13,000 people that have come through, the response has been overwhelmingly positive and appreciative of us facilitating this experience and the exhibition.
Thank you. For those that don't know the acronyms that we use when we work in this space, what is NAMI?
National Alliance of Mental Illness.
Yeah. Sorry.
Thank you. Just want for those that don't know,
Yeah.
to know.
I didn't want to get that one wrong.
Commissioner Von Allen.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Porter and Mr. Sinclair. I had the benefit of checking it out on the elementary school afternoon, and it was really delightful. I need to go back and spend more time. I only got about an hour, but you had some of the photos of the interactive portions and hearing people's lived experience, and beautifully done. So I'm so excited, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commission? One question that I have is you spoke briefly about the data that you guys, or you didn't speak about the data, but you spoke about the population that you guys are serving, 3 different languages. Do you guys collect demographic data on the population that come through there? I know that 13,000 is a great number in 3 weeks, but is it, to those of us that we all work in different realms in the community, and we're here today because we sit on the Safe and Healthy Schools Commission, right? So we want to make sure that we share that information large and wide to our community. So I just want to know, I don't want to say there's a target audience for this because it sounds like it's all ages,
Yeah.
but who's really attending? Are we getting people from the minorities? Are we getting low social economic status?
Yeah, a great question. And a couple of responses to that. First and foremost, just generally speaking, of that 200,000 visitors a year that come through our door, our visitor demographics largely, not perfectly, but pretty closely mirror the social ethnic diversity in our community in terms of who's showing up at our door. It's worth noting probably about 75% of our visitation is comprised of families with children under the age of 12, and that's something that has changed over the years as we've grown the age range and audience. So that number's actually going down, which is a desirable thing. We're serving more people each year, so your math works both directions there. In terms of target audiences, parallel to this discussion and this exhibition, the Discovery very specifically for the last 2 years has been engaged in a strategic initiative to grow meaningful, genuine relationships in our Spanish-speaking Latinx community that result in greater participation in the museum. And so we've been engaged in a whole variety of different exercises and activities where we are seeing that needle move, not as quickly as we'd like, but we're seeing movement in the positive direction. And then on the socioeconomic side, I want to point out a couple of quick things that from our founding through today, through the generosity of our donor community, we're very proud to say that price is never a barrier for participation at the Discovery. We have a robust financial assistance pool so that an individual family, another organization, a school that is in need, any group, there's a very simple, very quick financial assistance application process, which in 13 years of operation, we've never had to turn down a financial assistance request. And so price is not a barrier. There is an extra step. In addition, on Wednesdays, the museum stays open late until 8 o'clock, and we cut our admission more than in half. So it's $5 after 4 o'clock on Wednesdays. And that combination of a reduced admission rate combined with the shift in hours in the day means that the Discovery's, I would argue, the most happening place in Reno on a Wednesday night. We're a pretty popular spot. And we see members of our community come on Wednesday afternoons and evenings that we're not seeing any other time. And so we're always striving and thinking about where we can serve and do more, but that's kind of how our audience breaks down currently.
Thank you for sharing that.
You bet.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. Thank you very
Excellent.
much for
Thank
the
you for the
presentation.
opportunity.
Thank you.
So we will close item 2.02 and move on to item 2.03, which is presentation and discussion of the Washoe County School District Police Department organizational structure. This item is for presentation and discussion only. And we are going to allow Chief Moore to introduce himself.
That was live there. But yes, I am your new Chief of Police, Washoe County School District. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Some of you I've seen through our community members, and some of you have never seen me before. But so I can get them out of here, I can continue with the department. But I wanted to bring all of you, our kind of a newest member to the school police department. This is Officer Bowers and his partner Astro. You guys come up and see it. Got to see Astro. Everybody loves Astro. We'll let you go up front there, buddy.
Oh.
So Astro is a grant-funded dog. He is what, I won't get too technical in terms, but he's a sole purpose. He has one job that he has one toy to find, and he's our firearms detection dog. He does check for ammunition and spent rounds. It can be difficult setting for him, so he's quite the smart worker because, as you know, we all carry firearms with us every day. So he's specifically trained to find that toy in the environment that would, that's the only best way I could describe it is go find the toy. That's what keeps him excited and motivated. But that was one of the things that in the school police is our highest risk is as a firearm on school property. So we're able to get that sole source dog. Now, it is just school police, but Sheriff Balaam, we're always here to assist or help regionally with our partner and our officer there. So that is anything you should want us to throw in there, Officer Bowers, that maybe I missed? Yeah, he's very well liked. They do fund him with T-shirts and hats and stickers. Astro has his own swag that travels with him. Like I said, as your chief of police, it's really important to have a dog that students can interact with. I know there are other dogs that have specific functions in our community, but this was one that meets the highest risk we have and is a great community partner. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, okay. All right. You guys
Thank
are
you.
dismissed. Get to work. So yes, nice to meet you all, and I presented a little PowerPoint. Coming in with school police, obviously, you know, there was some quite big vacancies to fill. I'm still in that process of working that for you. Not going to get you too much on that PowerPoint. Hopefully you all receive this in advance, but these are our primary responsibilities that we have for school police, and that is making sure that it's a safe environment for all you, the students, the staff, every time that they visit our schools. We also have our school police as an emergency manager, and that emergency manager is also networked in with our community. Under my new structure, the emergency manager will report to me as your chief of police. I do have a background in emergency management. Prior to coming here, I was emergency manager of the Reno Tahoe Airport Authority. I was about 5 years the emergency manager in the school district, as that was a special assignment under police. And then we coordinate closely through training, emergency response, agency resource request. I won't get too much in details, but we are integrated into our community, and that is from the police and fire side. Thank you. This is the current mission statement of school police. I cannot remember when this came into effect, but I had a staff meeting on Monday last week and went to our department and I asked them, I said, do you feel this is a current update mission to the department with technology changing structures? And they gave me some great feedback. So this is our current mission, but that is something we're going to be changing and updating to our current missions in school police. But ultimately, you know, we are here for the safety of the students and the staff. We do enforce the laws for crimes that are committed, but we also have this key part of interacting with the students and faculty members on a daily basis on the campuses. And that was the blank slide, huh? Just a couple pictures of the special events we do. You see up there is retired Sergeant Connie Harper. One things we participate in is read a book for the day. That's probably one of my favorite ones with the kids. We do have the motor officers. We work frequently with the other agencies in our communities. Sometimes you might hear the term joining forces. That's where there's some grant funds that come in, and we will either do pedestrian crosswalk safety or speeding in the school zone. They determine what their mission is for the project of the month, and we'll work our motor officers together. That is looks like that was at McQueen High School as the Officer Appreciation Day. They as a couple years ago, just before I left, but they surprised the officers, so we told them all that you guys had to go to McQueen High School for training, and the students set up that poster. In the background, that's our Safe Routes to School. That is another branch of school police that we have a civilian and an officer to that position, and you know they work heavily with our road design, parking lot construction, and just student safety to and from school. So it's a great branch. That's a good special assignment. And then you'll see some stuff up there. I wonder who snuck that picture in there. That's me, like on, I think it was a career day at elementary school, and just talking to students about, you know, what are all these tools on my belt? This is a lot of kids like, you have a gun. It's like, yes, but I also have other cool tools in my belt there too, kids. There's our officers, our honor guard. I think that is a picture from Las Vegas. There was a school police officer funeral that we attended. And there's your favorite officer, Astro. So with school police, prior to my leaving, Chief Trevino had advocate for another level administration, and prior to my departure, the school district is growing. We have more officers on board, we have more schools we're building, and we really needed to restructure the department. And this is my proposed structure. Like I said, I worked with my supervisory staff. I went to the officers, asked for feedback, and they all believe this is the best way, and I'll tell you my rhyme and reason for this chart. Under the new structure, I would have dispatcher report to me. Under that, we have a fingerprint. We do the fingerprinting services for that. The emergency manager. We also have a school safety specialist. Those two positions, the emergency manager and the school safety specialist, are NRS mandated positions. School safety specialist came out a couple years ago, but is very specific in NRS what their duties and responsibilities are. And we have Mr. Perry in there. He's doing a phenomenal job of his requirements. Then I have an executive assistant that keeps me in check and keeps my calendar full. Underneath that will be the deputy chief. Deputy Chief Price retired, so that position is vacant. That has been posted, and we'll try to fill that here shortly. But underneath that is what I mentioned to you as Safe Routes to School. We do have a detective division. We have one single person that's a victim advocate, and then it becomes our new position of lieutenant. So that was created, and I, being a former supervisor, have always stress the importance of our sergeants being out in the field with the officers. So underneath that, we'll have 4 what we call beats in law enforcement. Currently has 3, with the North Beat area being geographically challenging and inclined to the south. We needed to share this workload, response time improvement. So that gives you the reasoning for that. But that lieutenant does carry some responsibilities. He has to supervise 4 sergeants, the gang unit, our K-9 program, and our motor officers. So that is the structure realignment that we have coming up for you all to provide us hopefully quicker response times and actually supervisors out there managing the calls, being the incident commander.
Chief Moore, can we go back to that structure, and maybe it's in the further down presentation, but can you describe what a typical beat would look like?
So a beat composes of, under the structure, a beat will have 2 high schools and all the feeder schools into that program. Right now, there are 3 to 4 high schools per beat, which is a large geographic area. I don't feel the officers get the best supervisory abilities under that model. It's a lot of territory. So a beat is, let's say, beat 1, for example, would include McQueen High School and Reno. They're fairly close to each other. That sergeant can supervise their resources, and it gives them a quick response time to help out. So,
Thank you.
yeah, good question. These are some of the positions that we have. This kind of gives you a structure of the number of people that we have. Obviously, you have me. I have to fill that deputy chief and lieutenant, and then I have 4 sergeants. Those are fully staffed. We have 10 campus officers that are supported by patrol officers. We have the 1 K-9. We have an officer up in Incline, working closely with the sheriff's office too. Thanks for your help up there, Sheriff Balaam. And we have the 2 detectives. One of those detectives I didn't put up there, but they serve on a special task force for the human exploitation and trafficking. So we do have that. He's pretty much rotating out, and I got to fill that position too. So, but we are a regional partner with some critical detective assignments in our community. We have 1 motor unit. I have 1 more that we're going to be sending to some motor school. Thanks again, Sheriff Bain, for your help. We're always stealing his stuff. He's a great regional partner. But yeah, so that is a tough position. The motor people have to go through a brutal school. And then we do have 2 on the gang unit. Our gang unit is a critical piece during daytime missions. A lot of these other activities are done at traditional shifts that we pitch in and we help out and do the daytime duties. We have 1 currently, it's in training. I have 1 in the academy, and I have 10 positions to fill. So I've got quite the workload cut out. My job is to get those all filled within the next 2 years.
And Chief Moore, sorry, I keep wanting to go back to what you just presented on. The campus officers, are they designated by statute where they have to be, or is that departmentalized where you decide the need?
So the campus, specific to campus, that is what we call a shift bid. So they are a bid system by seniority. And when we fill this, there are certain areas I have to fill first. Number 1 is I have to fill campus positions. They're assigned to that high school. They don't get to leave. They don't go in a patrol car. They have an office and they're on that campus. That's filled first. The next becomes the patrol division. They get to bid that beat by the time they want and what schools they want.
Thank you.
And then just break it down more into the school police structure. Obviously, I have Julie Kemp. She's my executive assistant. We have 4 dispatch stations. 1 position is vacant. We've got some great interest in that, but we've got to get some extra hardware in our dispatch center to accommodate those needs. We're working on it. We have 1 dispatch supervisor. We have our emergency manager, Roy Anderson, our school safety specialist, Michael Perry, our victim advocate, Kaylin, and we have Janie in fingerprinting. And then we have, like I said, we do have the Safe Route School. There's 1 officer and 1 civilian that are dedicated. That when I first started, it was only 1 sworn officer. That program has grown into our community, so we did get in some civilian help, and it's grant funded.
Our vice chair has a question.
Thank you. I was curious about the victim advocate role and what their workload looks like. Is it something pretty manageable for them? Are they behind? Like, what's the day-to-day look like for them?
So I got our previous victim advocate, she passed away with her bowel cancer.
What was her name?
Megan.
Megan.
But anyway,
Well, maybe as a commission, we can take a minute and just recognize Megan.
no, Megan would be making fun of me right now. But no, Megan, it passed. So we had to bring in a victim advocate that had to start from, we've never had the position before. It was another funded by the court. We knew it was a weak link, that we had victims of crimes that weren't getting the assistance they needed. So Megan stepped up, did that, and then Kaylin, came in after Megan's passing. But she does a stellar job. She takes a look at the daily workload of the victims of crimes that have been committed in the school district, and she identifies that victim. She reaches out to the family, and she has a whole list of resources working with. It could be filing for a protection order, or just any kind of court documents, or mental health services. She has all those resources in her belt to help out students, not even just students, but faculty members might be a victim of a crime that happened on property. So it's a pretty robust system that she has. She did, her workload continues to increase, and there's some other technology. She came to me, asked me, saying, hey, I need a little bit different software to help start tracking these people. But I'll tell you, she's really good at her Excel, Microsoft Excel skills. That was impressive, Charles. Like, wow, you need to teach me how to do some of this stuff. And I think, Scott, this kind of comes back to, hopefully answer your question.
You did, thank you.
This kind of brings you back to the beat system we have on. So you have, for example, you'd have the high school in there. You'd have the 2 middle schools would feed into it, and all those elementary schools. That would kind of is what is a beat. Now, that's just one high school. Most of those beats have 2 to 3 high schools in them. And these are some of the things that we do serve in the regional partners. We have those 2 officers in the gang unit. We have 1 detective to the human exploitation and trafficking. We have those motor units, Safe Route to School, the victim advocate, our emergency manager, and those regional partners. We work closely with the DEA's office and your team up there, Jan Evans. So it's a very complicated system, but integrated into our community. If you have any questions.
Is there any questions from the commission? Commissioner Zucker?
Can you explain what is going on with like the gang issues with Hug and Wooster in particular?
That's prior to my arrival. I do know that.
Hold on.
Oh, go
That's
ahead.
not agendized. We're here to talk
Oh.
about organizational structure.
Sorry.
So I want to make sure that we stay on topic so we avoid any.
Okay.
Sorry.
But we are partners on the regional gang unit. Like I said, we do have 2 officers that are integrated into that part of the community.
Thank you. Sorry.
Sorry about that.
Commissioner Flores, and then we'll go to Commissioner Porter.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chief Moore, for being here today. And I just wanted to share with the group that when I learned of Chief Moore's appointment, I thought I'm going to give him 4 weeks before I reach out and try to meet with him, because I'm sure he's buried. But I think very shortly after the announcement of your hiring, he contacted me. And so that's refreshing, and I appreciate that very much. And I very much look forward, and we did meet, and I very much look forward to the opportunities for further collaboration. We also have officers on the regional gang unit. We also have a victim services coordinator, so I'm very excited about potential collaboration and information sharing there. And we even spoke about legislative matters. So I just wanted to share that I'm very, very thankful for your leadership and look forward to working with you further.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Flores. Commissioner Porter, and then we have a question from Commissioner Samples.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that. I have a question on the organization for Safe Routes to School, because it actually came up with one of the parents at my kid's school, and I sent her to Safe Routes to School thinking that was the right place to go. Do you guys have anything to do with the pickup and drop-off procedures at every school, or is that individualized to that particular school? Specifically elementary and middle school?
I would
Not
say
much of an
we
issue.
do play a role in that. I know when new schools are designed, we're given those blueprints, and we do provide feedback to traffic control and drops-offs. It can be challenging. We're looking things from a law enforcement perspective, other people looking at it from a traffic flow pattern. But yes, they do continue. There might be new technology, roundabouts, different kind of lighting. The Safe Routes, that's their specific jobs. They work with the city planning, the traffic engineers to design these models. And when it comes to our school, Adam Searcy and his team on new school design, we do work closely with them on those designs. And if a parent does have a concern, they definitely need to reach out to us.
Okay, so that is the correct
It
avenue
is.
for her to go to. Okay, thank you.
If not, they can send it to me and I will route them to the right person.
Great, thanks.
All right, so the question from Commissioner samples, and then we'll go to Commissioner Bybee. The question is, does the victim advocate work only with victims of crimes that occur on school property?
Primary job, yes, but they also do work, coordinate with other parts of the community. Another one that they work very close with is our court system. So there may be maybe a family member that has a temporary restraining order process. She'll work with the schools and make sure the schools have that, they have the right resources. And a lot of times those legal documents can be a little bit difficult to decipher and understand. So she's there to assist them with not only, victims of crimes at school, but like I said, child custody disputes, restraining orders. She does reach out to them and make sure that the appropriate safety measures are in place.
Thank you.
But their primary role is, yes, to service the victims of the school district.
Thank you. She appreciates your answer. Commissioner Bybee.
Thank you so much for being here. Question when you talked about the beats. I thought in the past we primarily had our officers only at the high schools, and I know the goal has been to rotate down to middle and elementary schools, but I'm looking at your numbers are not that big, and I know you're adding to them. So where are your officers on that beat? Is there one, you said there was an office in the high school, and then you have, so how many officers, say, are on the shift, and are they touching, do they have to rotate to the elementaries? Are they on, I thought the goal was middle and high school to have an officer assigned, and because that was really important too, for their connection to faculty, to the students, to that connection that they can make on campus, which makes a lot of sense. But kind of give me an idea on how their work goes and where the officers are.
Yeah, and there was a slide, I don't know if you want to go back to the pyramid, that might help. Visual cue there will help us a little bit if we can jump back to that.
Well, I saw that, but is one officer at all those schools at one day?
I sure wish. In an unlimited budget world, it'd be great.
It looked like a lot, and I didn't know on that beat how many officers are on that beat.
So each high school does have an officer assigned to them, even including Incline High School. Then there's a supporting officer, which we call the patrol officer. That patrol officer, it should be a pyramid there. It'll have Spanish Springs High School up on top. Sorry about that. Yeah, we'll get there. Yeah,
Here.
perfect. So that high school, let's say Spanish Springs High School, that has an officer that's assigned to that campus. They don't have a patrol car. They drive their personal vehicle. Their office is on that campus. They don't leave that campus unless there's a special assignment, training, you name it. But we have to fill that high school. That's number one priority. Then that patrol officer who supports Spanish Springs, they are also responsible for taking the calls at Shaw, Sky Ranch, and those elementary schools. They'll stop in and do traffic enforcement, school checks as we call them. They'll stop into school, talk to administrators, walk the hallways with the kids. The board did approve some additional positions for us, and that is to fill those middle school beats, we would call it. So then we'll have to take a look at what that model is like. What is the quickest response time for an officer to get from one middle school to the other? But yes, the funding was allocated by the board to fill positions that will take some of that burden off that patrol officer. They can spend more time at the high school or at the elementary schools, but the middle school officers will have a patrol car and they'll go back and forth, if that helps make a little bit of sense on that structure of the model.
So the additional positions would cover elementary?
The patrol officer that has the high school will be responsible for the elementary schools. The middle schools will pick up their own officer. In an ideal world, some schools have the same population of enrollment as a high school. It would be nice to have officers in that, but we have to take a look at it. We have to be analytical in our data and see where we're providing the best level of customer service.
Okay, thank you.
I hope that answers it for you.
And Commissioner Bybee and I have sat on this commission for a while. She was one of our founding members. But back when the shooting happened at the middle school, there was a state unfunded mandate recommendation, I think, for middle schools, and it's maybe what you're referring to. And that was presented to us also by the national council that did some of our consultation work. And so I think hearing from former Chief Trevino, that was one of the things that it was an unfunded mandate for the middle schools to have school resource officers. And so hearing that the Board of Trustees has approved some of that, it really takes some of the work that we did 5 and 6 years ago and brings it to the current time.
Yeah, and like I said, having the board did a tremendous job. I mean, public safety is not a cheap business to be into, so they also, I commend them. They also approved the patrol cars, so we have patrol cars that are ready to purchase any moment now. We have to fill those positions, but we do understand that middle schools are a critical piece that probably need more of a school officer presence in them. I mean, like I said, so these new models of these middle schools are large enrollment numbers. I would not be surprised if I sit back and take a look at some enrollment numbers that some of these middle schools have more than some of our high school campuses. So that's important. And we all know middle school's a different point in people's lives, and just because we're a badge doesn't mean I'm out there to enforce a law. Students come to us lots of questions, like they say, we're a counselor with a badge. Kids are comfortable. It's the first time they make their contact with law enforcement, and we're not here to take everybody to jail and put them in the criminal justice system. We're here to provide them resources, guiding and counseling to get them in the right direction.
Thank you for that. Any other questions from the commission? Chief Moore, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, commission members.
With that, we'll close item 2.03 and open item 2.04, which is a presentation and discussion of the Washoe County School District's comprehensive plan to address chronic absenteeism in the Washoe County School District. This is for presentation and discussion only, and our presenter is the Director of Intervention, Rochelle Morello. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about chronic absenteeism. I first want to tell you what my role is in the school district. I oversee our intervention department. So I'm going to talk to you today about chronic absenteeism because I oversee attendance. But we have other parts of my department that help support the improvement of attendance for our families, mainly family resource centers, where we work at supporting families that are in crisis and helping them to access resources. Our Children in Transition program that serves all of our students that are homeless in our district, and any supports that we have for our students that are in foster care. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we do specifically for attendance. I also have quite a bit of, well, not quite a bit, but I do have some data. So if you have questions, just stop me so that I can interpret the data for you. So I wanted to point out our promise because attendance is one of those things where we really need to focus on our students and developing those relationships to name, strength, and need. But also what is really critical and where we see the most improvement in attendance is when we can partner with families and communities. So let's talk about chronic absenteeism. Students are chronically absent if they miss 10% or more of the days that they're enrolled in school. And you're going to see some data today in Washoe County, but chronic absenteeism is an issue across the nation. It has been since the pandemic. And last year, the national average of chronic absenteeism was 27.85%. So let's look at Washoe County and our data in Washoe County. This is the last 3 years, and I want to sort of define each of these three columns for you. So the first one is the Nevada report card, and that's reporting all absences, regardless if they were exempt absences, if they were medical absences. Every absence was counted within these within this data. This includes our charter schools as well. If you look under school profiles and no charter, school profiles allow for exempt absences. So we have a law through Nevada Revised Statute 392.050 that allows a medical professional or a behavioral health professional to exempt absences based on their best judgment. So the school profiles no charter will include those exempt absences as well. And then the third one is the federal rate, but not including charters. So I'm going to pause and see if there's any questions.
Rochelle,
Yes.
why would charters schools affect? Why are they not included in here?
The last column is, I'm sorry, one of these is, let's see, the federal rate in the middle, it was with charter, so I messed up on that one. So school profiles in the middle, I believe, is charter. Let me double check and I'll get back to you, but I'm pretty sure that that's what it looked like.
Okay.
Charter does impact our overall chronic absenteeism because they're different kinds of schools, they're choice schools, so they do impact us overall on average.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look at our demographics and our special populations. So you can see that our students that are American Indian and our Pacific Islander students are the most chronically absent in our school district. So just for some context, that red portion of the column is students that are severely chronically absent. So they've missed 20% or more of the school year. The darker yellow, those are students that are considered chronically absent. And the lighter yellow are students that are approaching chronically absent. So I pulled this data this morning. So chronic absenteeism is a percentage. Sometimes it can change daily depending on the days that students miss and the days that they're enrolled. But as of this morning, this was our data across our district. We are currently at a 22.81% chronically absent percentage for our district. If we look at our special populations, FRL is free and reduced lunch. IEP are students who receive special education services. EL are English learners. CIT are students that are homeless. So you can see that our students that are homeless are at a rate of 55% of our students are chronically absent. Our GT, our foster, and our 506 students. Questions about this data? It's under Native American protections. Okay, this is our grade level data as of this morning. You'll see that our seniors right now, because I can't do it off the top of my head, 40% of our students that are seniors or in 12th grade are chronically absent right now. This has been a typical sort of trend across our data where we see fairly high pre-K, kindergarten, chronic absenteeism, and then we see big spikes when students enter in middle school, again a spike in 9th grade, and then our students that are seniors are always the most chronically absent students. So we're really focusing right now on how do we better support transitions, the kindergarten, the 6th grade, and the 9th grade transitions, because our students seem to be struggling with those transitions. And I'll talk to you a little bit about what we're going to do here as the presentation progresses. Yeah.
Commissioner Bybee.
Yes.
Why are the seniors have a higher, so much higher? And I worked years ago, I'm dating myself, Student Attendance Advisory Board. And I was a parent representative along with a lot of experts in the field many, many years ago addressing absenteeism.
Yeah.
Why are the seniors?
So there can be a couple of reasons. Attendance is really complex. So, and you may remember that sometimes students are missing because of academic gaps. So our students that were chronically absent in elementary school and middle school have large academic gaps as they get into harder curriculum. As seniors, it's harder for them to be successful. When students are not successful, then they have a sense of hopelessness because they don't understand the content all the time. And so without being self-advocates and without getting the support, then they're struggling and they tend to drop out. However, also seniors are old enough to where sometimes they just want to go work. And so they're getting jobs, they want to start getting a paycheck, and so we start to see them become more chronically absent. Sometimes we see older students taking care of their younger siblings. Sometimes there's transportation issues. Sometimes there's other complex issues. It varies depending on the students, but that's kind of the trends that we're seeing as seniors is we see a lot of seniors sort of try to transition into, I'm tired of school now. I have senioritis. I want to be done, and I want to work and start getting a paycheck.
Okay. For all levels of the chronic absenteeism, are we still doing, because one of the things, and I'm talking probably 15 years ago or more, when Sparks High School had the first online, and some of you guys have been here a while probably remember that, Sparks High School had a program that was online and it hooked into Southern Illinois University, I think, and it was direct credit recovery, and kids did because it did no good to put them back in the classroom when they were so far behind.
Right.
So they could gain those credits back. They learned the computer skills. It was like an amazing success rate of putting kids, and this is maybe more than 15 years ago
Right.
compared to today. Are we still doing those options for credit recovery.
Yes.
And getting those kids caught up, or at least not disturbing another class that they don't want to be in because, they are so far behind. Is that still happening?
We
And how do
primarily
you guys
use
do it?
Edgenuity now for online credit recovery, so that all high schools have access to Edgenuity, and they're really creative in the way that they provide graduation plans for all of our high schoolers, but then they provide those credit recovery programs so that they can access Edgenuity, they can work through their classes and earn their credits. They can even earn credits through work experience. They can earn elective credits. So high schools have become extremely creative in the ways that they give different opportunities to students to catch up quickly with their credits. And then there's intercession, summer school, those other things too, are kind of those typical options too. Okay, so some of the ways that we are tackling chronic absenteeism, I want to talk to you now about what are we doing about chronic absenteeism. We are developing systems, and many schools have systems in place where we look at attendance through multi-tiered systems of support framework. And we provide universal tier 2 and tier 3 interventions depending on how chronically absent a student is and what their specific needs are. So some of our students need more one-on-one tier 3 supports. And some of our students are tier 1, so we're looking at prevention. How can we prevent students to become chronically absent? It's much more difficult to help our students feel engaged and caught up and supported at a tier 3 level compared to a tier 1 level. So we're seeing a lot more success when we're really focusing on those tier 1 and tier 2 interventions at a school site level. In particular, we're seeing a lot of success for students when we have a trusted adult that they can identify and go to at a school that's present each and every day. We've also developed a Washoe County School District Attendance Toolkit and website. So these are a variety of different materials, strategies, interventions that schools can pull from. We have intervention banks. We have translated parent information. There's strategies for parents to develop healthy attendance habits at an early age. We utilize Attendance Works because they also have a variety of free printable materials that we can access at elementary, middle, and high school. Of course, I talked about MTSS and those supports. We utilize family resource centers when families are having difficulty with a crisis or accessing basic needs like food or housing. That's a particularly large issue within the family resource centers now, is that our families are having difficulty finding affordable housing. And so we're trying to help support the stability of families at the home so that they have long-term sustainable access to food, housing, clothing. They have power when it's cold. They have air conditioner when it's hot. There's lights so that students can do their homework. You know, some of the things that we take for granted, that's what the family resource centers do so that they can better support their children in their education. Commissioner Bybee, you mentioned the Student Attendance Advisory Commission Council. We continue to hold that. We partner with Washoe County Juvenile Services, counselors, school police are on that. And so we work at and look at the data regularly to kind of talk about how can we partner as community agencies to address those issues. We have the Student Attendance Review Board. We hold those hearings for elementary school every Wednesday at Human Services Agency and every Thursday at our Riggins site. Those are interdisciplinary teams where we meet with the family and the student. We identify what are some of the most pressing issues around attendance, and then we put in a variety of different resources and supports in place, and then we provide 45 days of case management to help a family follow through and access resources and reduce some of the barriers that they have. We have re-engagement facilitators. They provide trainings for staff and trainings for parents as well. We have attendance officers. We have 10 in our district. They're all assigned to a school. So every school in our district has an attendance officer, and their partner is a re-engagement specialist. So they provide formal attendance monitors. They provide transports for students that are refusing to go to school. They provide just support overall for families, home visits. They connect the student to their counselor when needed. Re-engagement specialists do the same. But they also work with students who have left our district and trying to bring them back into our district again and re-enroll. Any questions? I talked a little bit about these, the SARB, the toolkit. Some of the things that we are looking forward to and working on right now are conducting additional attendance informational campaigns. September is National Attendance Awareness Month, but we want to get the information out all year long. We want to help parents know where to go when they're struggling with attendance. We want to provide them some strategies to help them with healthy attendance habits. Just getting the information out about why attendance is so important. Even in first grade, it's really important. They're learning some of the most foundational things to be successful as they move on to middle and high school. We are additionally connecting every student that we work with a trusted adult, so that they have a mentor, they have someone they can go to when they're at school. We are doing a middle school engagement project. This is a pilot that we've worked on with a private funder. It's at 6 different middle schools right now. There are intramural activities where we've developed some robotics activities and other kinds of sports and things that students can do to be engaged in school, to make sure that school is fun and active for them, that they're developing pro-social peer relationships, and again, those trusted adults. And they provide case management, check-in, check-outs with students, all sorts of things, advocacy, those kinds of things. And then we're working on student voice. We want to hear from students. What are some of the obstacles? What can we do better to better support you so that you feel welcome, you feel safe, you feel engaged, you feel ready to learn, to come to school? Even when it's hard and you don't feel like going to school, how do we get you motivated? Back around the pandemic, we did a few videos at elementary, middle, and high school. So you'll see the mass in this video here, and we're in the process of updating these, but I just wanted you guys to see an example of what students are saying about attendance. So hopefully that works. Can you click on it? Oh, come on.
Rochelle, was there a link to the video that you
There
can
was,
maybe email
it's
to
a-
Dr. Lamarca and he can send it to the commission?
Yeah, if we can't watch it, then. There was a YouTube link in there. That's all right. It's on YouTube. I'll send it to all of you so you can view it at your leisure.
Thank you.
Okay. And I will tell you, some of the things that they pointed to is having an adult that they trust. Additional things, we are promoting attendance competitions, so we could do that grade by grade level, most improved attendance, earning pizza parties, earning lunch with the principal, those kinds of things where students find it fun and exciting to come to school. We would like to extend and expand staffing for the middle school engagement project. We currently have 3 staff, but we'd like to have a staff at each middle school to provide more intensive support at those middle schools. We'd like to establish and expand mentoring programs to promote a positive relationship with trusted adults. Strengthen our check-in, check-out through research-based strategies. We are partnering with REL West Ed right now, and we're developing some research-based, evidence-based strategies around check-in, check-out that would be consistent across our schools, A lot of our schools do check in, check out, but sometimes it's inconsistent across our district. So we want to develop those strategies and interventions for them so that we see some consistent evidence-based strategies across check in, check out. And then we are going to continue to expand our trainings for our families and for our school staff around attendance. And that is it. Any questions?
Any questions from the commission? Vice Chair Sanchez.
More of a comment, just thank you so much for that presentation.
Yeah.
Talk about a lot of comprehensive strategies and intervention, because I was really just struck by what you were saying, the sense of hopelessness, and having resources available really makes a difference. So thank you.
Commissioner Bybee.
Thank you. I didn't realize the problem was that serious. I mean, it's really serious. Obviously, 40% for high school seniors, but even across the board.
Yeah.
As part of your strategies, are you looking at, because I remember, like, I'm talking way back as we looked at what types of things would improve attendance. And they talked about, especially high school, but even to middle school, that kids that they don't connect to the high school by just going to class.
Right.
And so you've got to find things for every kid, and they don't have to be quarterback of the football team.
Right.
They could be in the origami club. They could be debate. They could be any activity that we can encourage and nurture, connects them to kids who have that same interest, and then they want to be there, because just going to class for most of them is not enough.
Right.
Have you looked at how many activities, connections to try to get kids involved in so many more activities from middle school and high school for sure? Is that part of what your strategies are?
It is, and I'm glad you brought that up. I couldn't agree more. You know, sometimes sports or music or art is the one thing that makes kids want to come to school. And so it's a regular part of when we intervene with a student, is trying to get to know them. What are their interests? What do they like to do? Do they have barriers to accessing anything? So we utilize grant funds sometimes when there's a cost to any activity. We'll pay for that for them to be able to access that. Particularly our students that are homeless, we have funds through McKinney-Vento that allow us to pay for anything that they want to participate in. In the middle school engagement project, we had funds specifically for those kinds of programming. So in Cold Springs last year, one of the things they wanted to do was a before school program. They had sports, but then they had clubs and they had robotics, and they had 75 students attending in the morning. And middle school starts really early. It starts at 7:30. So students were getting there at 6:30 to participate in these activities, and they were loving it. So yes, it's something that's really essential, is getting to know their interests, getting to know what they want to participate in, or if they're not totally sure, exposing them to things that they might be interested in that will pique their interest and their love for learning.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commission? Vice Chair Sanchez.
One other question before we get to our next item too. We're planning our safety forum. But I'm just curious if you guys would be available to provide maybe a presentation during that forum.
Yeah, I am always available, and I always welcome you to come to family resource centers or present or anything. You know, I partner with Washoe County Juvenile Services all the time. Liz and I go way back. I know many of you here. Chair Benton is the chair of our Family Resource Center Council, so I'm more than happy to collaborate, get information out. I think we need the community as a whole to wrap around our students that are struggling. They're struggling for many reasons. It's not just academics. There's lots of things going on in our community that's impacting our students. And so I'm happy to be here to bring that awareness and just bring anyone to better support our students. So yes.
Before I let you off the hook,
Yeah.
we were given a lot of data today.
Yes.
What is the one positive point or something that you can share with us that happens in your department or around chronic absenteeism that you want us to
Sure.
remember?
So in total transparency, for many years, we've done something called formal attendance monitors, where we've identified students that are chronically absent, typically severely chronically absent, and we put them on these 20-day monitors. And we meet with them once a week, we talk with their parents, and we looked at the data last year and saw no impact on attendance. So we came back as a team. How do we make this better for students? How do we start to see outcomes? And what we decided, because we looked at our re-engagement outcomes where we did see some good positive outcomes for students, but they were able to work for a longer period of time with students, that we needed to extend those formal attendance monitors. We needed to incorporate, one of our strategies is to always connect a student to a trusted adult at school. And they can work 45 days or longer with a student. We built in incentives, and we built in more of a partnership with families this year. And we are looking at our data and talking about our data this year, and we're seeing really good outcomes with our students. Some of our attendance officers are seeing 70% of their students are seeing improvement. Some of them significant improvements, 20, 30% better with attendance. And so that's my one takeaway is we have to look at this data and review it regularly and then figure out how we better support our students. And that is a success in my books.
Thank you. Awesome job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
With that, we'll close item 2.04 and open item 2.05, which is discussion and possible action to determine content, logistics, and marketing for the second Washoe County School District Safety Forum for the 2023-2024 school year. This is for possible action. Since I sit next to the champion of this, I'm going to open it and toss it over to her, to our vice chair.
Thanks. I think I was just really struck by that presentation, and it seemed like a possible topic for us this year, and especially since you have all those amazing resources, a chance to really showcase that. So I think that'd be one thing I'd like the commission to maybe think about is adding that this year.
Awesome. Dr. LaMarca, can I ask you to come up and tell us what we're agendized for and what we should be talking about in sense of where have we gone from the beginning of the school year when we wanted to have multiple forums, and have we voted and landed on anything that we need to take action on today? For some reason, May comes to mind as that's where we've had our safety forums in the past. Are we on target to have another one? And should we plan details today?
For the record, Paul LaMarca, thank you, Chairman Benton, for the question. I think that's for you all to decide. I think you, as a commission, talked about the possibility of doing 2 forums this year as opposed to one that you've done historically. We did the one in the fall months, and as I recall, and I'm trying to go back in time, it was not well attended, and so there was some questions by the commissioners about, is that the right approach that we want to take? We will certainly do our best to support the commission if we choose to do a second forum. So what's agendized for you today, I think within, and Ms. Montalvo can guide us, but I think within this item, you can choose to have a forum. You can spitball dates for the forum. Last year's forum, if you recall, we did it, I think it was at Trainer Middle School. It was an in-person event. We can try and do that. Now, I will caution you that there's been some change in the communications department. Megan Downs took a different position. They have not filled that position. So we'll struggle a bit with some of the support you have traditionally enjoyed. But I do think it's sort of an open slate for you all.
Okay, thank you. And I looked to the vice chair. We presented to the Board of Trustees last year, and they had given us some charges. Have we completed those, do you feel? As a commission, we did what we were asked?
Because I believe we were asked to address vaping and then screen usage.
Okay.
Does that sound accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
And maybe I look to the commission. Do you feel that we have addressed those 2 charges from the Board of Trustees? I know that they wanted us to include something in the safety forum last year, and we weren't able to because we had already voted on the logistics and all of that. So we opted to do the forum in September, which I feel as a single person that we addressed what we couldn't do in May. But I don't want to speak for the commission.
And didn't you guys, the two of you, you presented to the Board of Trustees on vaping, right? We had the recommendation that when we were in our meeting and they came and talked about sensors and other kinds of things that, prevention and that sort of thing. So we did address that, correct? You were able to?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I thought you both. So you were able to make those recommendations?
So yes,
to the
I
board?
returned to the Board of Trustees
Yeah.
earlier this year, or maybe late last year.
Yeah.
And they heard what we had heard, so we
Right.
shared the information with them. Yes, Dr. Lamarca.
I believe where we're at is we need to bring to you some information regarding sort of a more comprehensive approach to prevention. You all did receive a presentation from a vendor, and I think that there was some differences, not of opinion regarding the sensors, but of the approach that should be recommended to the board. So we need to bring you back some information, and then you might have a second opportunity to bring recommendations to the board. The vape sensors, based on the literature, are not enough. It's an after-the-fact kind of a control mechanism.
Yeah, and thank you. Before I go to you, Commissioner Goguchia, the presentation from the Board of Trustees, they sent some action items back to us, which Paul just spoke that they're working on. And I think a lot of it was around the language and the ask of the superintendent of what we want done. So I think we're working on that. I would not feel comfortable to be ready to present to the public on vaping yet as the council or as the commission. So I personally feel like we're still working on that item that was asked of the Board of Trustees, but I don't think it's ready for a safety forum topic. Commissioner Goguchia.
I just wanted to address the screen usage because I think what we did was attempt to talk about screen usage in the already agreed upon groups that we had.
The topics,
so,
yeah.
So we touched on it minimally, and also as it was already discussed, our attendance was so minute that I don't know, I mean, yes, I guess in essence, we met that goal, we checked a box. However, did we supply our community with the information that the board was hoping for? My answer would probably be no from my personal opinion. I don't know that a safety forum that gets 20 people that attends is the smartest use of time, but I don't know what the best answer is either. If it's, talking more about, do we try to do a YouTube video or a public announcement or, something that can be shown, posted on the website, is it worth having other discussions to do small public service announcements that will reach a different level of people, is my thought and question.
Thank you. So going back to the agenda item, I think one thing that we should ask ourselves and maybe take action on is, do we want to have a second forum? And I would look to you guys to make a motion on a yes or no. Do we move forward? And then if so, we start planning it. If not, that's okay too. And we can look at what we need to do that has come from the safety forums as a council or commission to keep working on. Commissioner Balaam. Sure.
The one thing I'd say before we vote, and just because we had the same issue, I think I brought up when we talked about this, the symposium we did in the law enforcement realm, is if we do another one, finding a way to partner with something. I think we did it Reno Town Mall, I'm going to call it Old Town Mall, and we had food there, and that was probably our best turnout that we've had 2 months ago. But if we have another one, I'd say trying to find an event maybe that we can tag along with, instead of having it maybe, since they're going to be there, we have their attention.
Okay.
This is my thing.
Thank you. Dr. Lamarca.
Thank you. I really appreciate that comment. One thing I wanted to share with you is JTN and Joint Together Northern Nevada will be doing its second annual prevention conference on May 31st and June 1st. And they will cover some of the same topics we're talking about right now. I don't know that they have a specific item on screen usage, but there will definitely be much around prevention of drug and substance use. There will also be a big presentation on chronic absenteeism. we could potentially talk with them and either tag on to what they are doing, or figure out a way just to market the event and try and get maybe some free seats for parents. I don't know what it would be, but we could reach out and see if there's something we could do there.
Thank you. And Catherine Loudon has joined us to provide some information.
Thank you. Yeah, for the record, my name is Catherine Loudon. I'm the coordinator of school counseling. Actually, I have a little bit more information to add to what Dr. Lamarca had presented. We are in the school district partners with the Join Together Northern Nevada Prevention Conference, and through a partnership with the Nevada Department of Education, Clay Cranford is coming, and he presents parenting in the digital world and is a national speaker, and he will be coming to that. And we were able to buy probably 150 different books, and the speaker will be presenting related to parenting and screen time.
Thank you. Vice Chair Sanchez, yes.
I just wanted to quickly acknowledge, since we have Catherine Loudon up here, that this week is School Social Work Week, and we really just want to say that we really appreciate the school social workers and everything that they do to support all of the kids. So thank you guys.
For that. Commissioner Gobuchia.
I think that both of you addressed this, but this JTNN event does cost money, and so that might be something worth who are we trying to connect with, and how can we, better support the people, the parents, students that we maybe want to get this information to. It's a great, the 2 days are filled with trauma-informed care and great screen time and substance awareness, and I think it's amazing opportunity, but it does cost money.
Thank you. Vice Chair Sanchez.
I was thinking about that as well, and so Catherine, Misty, and Jessica and I are all on the Washoe County Children's Mental Health Consortium, and they do have a mental health forum that comes up in the fall, and so that could be another opportunity to add some other partnerships in that way, because it's pretty well attended.
Thank you. Dr. Lamarca, I look to you. From the data that over the years of the safety forums, we know who the target audience is. Are we meeting that target audience? Are they the ones coming? Or is it more internal Washoe County School District employees or people that are working in the space of the topics? So that when we talk about the cost of a partnership conference, is it something that is already being addressed through their day-to-day work?
That's a really difficult question to answer, but let me say that in the last couple of years, especially following COVID, getting parents and community members to attend some of our events has been very challenging. Parent University, there are some Parent University topics that get a great response, but there are many others that don't always. We've had some efforts, a partnership with Dr. Cucalan Calderon, Children's Cabinet, trying to work on destigmatization of mental health, information regarding cigarette use, vape use, and prevention, and we haven't been able to get good audiences. So I don't know that right now a forum is going to yield much. But I do think that, as you know, through Delisa Crane's leadership, she has helped build a toolkit that is part your toolkit. There are some tools in there around screen time. There's some prevention tools in there. I think maybe what we need to do, and we could commit to bring this to you either in April or May, is we need to sit down and kind of strategize what's the best way to reach our parent community in the following year, because there might be multiple avenues that we can take, and that you don't have the pressure of this safety forum that hangs over you. And maybe we'll determine that that's actually a really good strategy that we want to continue. So that's a long way to say it. It's a hard question to answer.
Okay, thank you. Sheriff Balaam.
So one thing, maybe this can be a motion, I would say, and I think Annie may be able to elaborate, I hate to put you on the spot. You're coordinating something because Ms. Menente called me at the Discovery Museum. I don't know if it fits, so I would say we put it off till next year, but like that event, she can go into more detail. If it fit at the Discovery Museum, since they just gave a great presentation, even if we don't get parents, what I would tell you is if we touch the kids and reach the kids and inform them of the screen time, you know, at least we're hitting part of it, not the whole family, but the kids. So maybe that's a way. It sounds like this event may be big. I think it may be mostly kids. But maybe next year, that's what I would say, is we look for one of these events that we can fit in, either encouraging both parents and students, or at least we get the kids in there to talk to them.
Yeah, I was actually going to make a motion that we, considering that we do not have the support from Megan right now, that maybe we put off the spring and focus on the fall, which then we can focus on getting the presentation in front of us from your side about what opportunities there might be. But I think that the motion should be that maybe we put off spring, knowing that we don't have the support from the communications department that we would need.
Before we entertain a motion, we're going to go to Commissioner Bybee. And then I'll come back to you, Commissioner Zucker.
Having done these, well, Misty, Darren, 3 of us have been here for the duration since these started. We struggled all along. And I think the one year we really had a great turnout was up at TMCC. And there was something else going on up there too that we kind of, I think I love the idea of partnering with events and other groups that have things happening that we can jump into from this commission, focus on health and safety. And also, what Jessica mentioned, is there more opportunity for us to, through whether it's social media, whether it's YouTube, whether it's getting out these topics to a broader audience, that we would be supportive of, because it's valuable information that somebody can sit at home or sit on their phone here and access, and it's the awareness and promoting things that fall into what we find, things that we find, because there's some great things and great information that we want our parents, we want our kids, we want our community partners to know. And I think shifting from the actual safety forum, which I would say in my evaluation and all the hard work that goes into it, have just been kind of semi-successful. And even though the topics and the presenters were great, do we reach our goal of really reaching the amount of parents and even community members and kids? No, I don't think we have through all these years. And we keep trying to tweak it. And I think looking at it differently and coming in from a different angle, I think makes a lot of sense. And looking at things that are already happening that we can add our commission's participation and voice to makes a whole lot of sense. So I support what you're saying as far as right now. I don't think it makes sense to do a second forum. And as we look forward into the fall, what can we find out now that we could partner with and piggyback on, and then putting that message out so other groups and other resources are coming to us because they're going, oh, we've got this going on. So opening that door to be working collaboratively with other organizations makes sense to me.
And also, I want to acknowledge Sheriff Balaam's thought about, are the parents really the target that we should be going to, or should we be bringing this information to the students, to the kids, right? For years, we've always targeted adults. Maybe that's the problem that we're not quite addressing. The problems that we're trying to address are vaping in students. Maybe we bring the information to the student and let them take that conversation home as a conversational piece at dinner, saying, hey, you know what, at school today I learned this, or I was told about this. So instead of maybe a safety forum, maybe it's more of a safety conversation that we're having with the people that are participating in the activities that we're being alerted of. Vice Chair Sanchez.
I would say I would still make a plug for the parents, just as from a systemic perspective. I think looking at things like chronic absenteeism, there's so many factors that kids themselves can't address, and so maybe there's two tiers. Maybe there's a tier of where we could partner with Mind Matters, next year, and there's a kid-focused, where they can know what the school district has already set up, because a lot of these videos exist, and a lot of these things are already available, so that they're reminded of that. And then in the minutes last time, we had Fatima Rivas, and she was presenting saying that she wasn't sure if this coming up school year it was going to happen again, but the Back to School Expo was really well attended, and that takes place on a weekend. And it sounds like there's maybe about 300 families that come. Sounds like there's vendors, and maybe there can be space for an area where folks can come in and listen to presentations as we've maybe done in previous years.
Thank you. And I think something that we should note when we try to mimic the idea in the virtual setting, but when we had roundtable discussions, we got a lot of feedback in person. I remember one being at one of the elementary schools, and it was 4 topics in the same room. They got to rotate through, and we had various experts, so to speak, there. I know that we have adjusted and pivoted in turn because of the pandemic and did things virtually and posted the YouTube links out there, and we have heard the data of how many clicks have been to that video of the forum, but what happens after the click, we don't know. We tried to do a survey at the end of the forum. So we've tried all these mechanisms that I want all of you guys to know that we've done over the years. It doesn't mean that we can't do them again. But I think at most, it was during the pandemic, we had 200 people view in one day. We tried it 3 times a day virtually. We tried 2 in person, or 2 virtually, 1 in person. And it just became, I think somebody on this side of me said it was taxing. It was a lot of work that goes into it, and I want to make sure that the work that we're putting out there is we're getting some return on investment, so to speak. Like, if we're doing all this work and bringing these experts in, are we really getting the information out there to the right people? So having said all of that, I'm going to stop where we are. We're going to go to Commissioner Zucker here in a minute for a motion, but I'm going to ask for public comment. Madam Secretary, do we have any public comment?
We do have public comment from Trustee Jeff Church. Oh, never mind, Chair. We
Okay.
do not.
No public comment on this action item. Commissioner Zucker, if you are ready for a motion?
So I will motion to not host a spring forum and gather more information to be able to have a conversation about the fall forum.
Okay, I look to Dr. Lamarca. Is that a clear understanding? Yes, okay. We have a motion. Is there a second?
This is Misty Allen. I'll second that motion.
Thank you. So the motion by Commissioner Zucker, second by Commissioner Von Allen. Any discussion on the motion?
Clarification. I think I would like to return to possibility of a fall forum, because we might not want to go forum at all. I mean, from what I'm hearing on a lot of voices here, we might be looking at these other alternatives. So maybe, I don't know if we need to change the wording on that, or it's something that will be looked into for future action items. So are we committing ourselves? I like my legal advice.
At least how I heard your motion was that it right now, as it stands, is looking at options for a fall forum. It wasn't actually a definite that
Okay.
we will have one. So I think
Okay,
the motion's
I'm good
fine.
on that then. Thank you.
So hearing the motion that we are not going to have a spring forum doesn't limit us to not having one in the fall or even looking at options. So we can take a vote on the current motion and then return to you, Commissioner Bybee, if you want to provide some more action. Based on that, I will look at you when the vote is taken. So, having heard that, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing no opposition, Commissioner Samples is joining Commissioner Zucker's motion. I assume that is an aye. In favor, Commissioner Samples, if you can just cast your vote for me before I... Thank you. We are in favor. All votes are in favor. It passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Zucker. Any other action that we want to take on safety forums today? No. Okay. So we will close. Is there anything we want to discuss under 2.5? No? Okay. All right. We will close item 2.5 and go to our closing items. Item 3.01, public comment. Madam Secretary, do we have any public comment?
We do have public comment from trustee Jeff Church.
Welcome, trustee Church. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I'm trustee Jeff Church. Views here expressed are mine. Number one, I just urge you to get regular updates on statistics on violence in the schools. Even us, we don't always get them as trustees, and I think that's very important to your commission. So disruptive behavior, violence in the schools, I think it's really important, perhaps at every meeting, that you get those updates. Number two, I wanted to contact, I wasn't even going to mention it, but restorative credit. Restorative credit is part of the problem, not part of the solution. D is for diploma, is the common statement. Why would you go to school and you can be absent, 50, 60, 70, 80% of the time, when you can simply watch an ingenuity video for a couple of days and take the test and pass it with a D and graduate? So again, restorative credit's part of the problem. It's not the answer. I had a high school teacher, 12th grade, write me, said at 8 a.m., his or her first class, had 6 of 34 kids in seats. Then they filtered in throughout the day, and the maximum attendance for his 12th grade class was 50% at any class during the day, 50%. This is a crisis. I've been hearing this stuff that you just heard for 4 years, and nothing's changed. We're rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. We've got to do something substantial to fix this. We went up 6 points from last year, from 24 to 31% chronic absenteeism, so it's not working. Sparks High School, I pulled that while I was sitting there, 48% Sparks High School, which means 12th grade's probably 50, 52%. So it's not necessarily just your job, it's attendance, and of course it's a job of us as trustees, but it's a crisis. It's not getting any better, and I just hope you address it. And once again, it would be nice if you could get the statistics, maybe every meeting, on violence. We have a brand new police chief, has my full support, so I'd love to see those statistics come to your attention and then to mine. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
No other public comment.
Thank you. So we'll close item 3.01. 3.02 is the announcement of our next meeting, April 1st, 2024, 2 o'clock here in the boardroom. And with that, I will adjourn our meeting at 3:36. Record time.